And just very shortly, how we do the research or what is happening at Kivu. I will start with this diagram. So this is the main working methodology we use. So everybody is more or less equal. This means that there are no project managers and project members, but everybody can do both role or both tasks. So we have brainstorming days, and then we throw all the projects on the floor in a form of A3 papers, and then we comment, we select, we discuss, and so on. And by the end of the day, there are projects with members. I mean, projects formed, and also people show their interest. And then, according to the idea, anybody can be a leader or just a member. So the groups are about 3-4 people, but this is one very strict rule at Kivu, that you can't work alone. You are, so to say, you are not allowed to work alone, because if you can work alone, you don't need Kivu, and vice versa. So that's why this diagram is still very live. And the other diagram shows below how, so this one, how people and the projects are related, and it shows the interactions. It's an old list, but I think the diagram would look similar nowadays too. And then what is important for us is the community, and also that Kivu is not only a workplace, but we do many social events, we do jokes and hack all the time, and with the dolls it was also a kind of hack, and this image is the usual feeling at Kivu, so everybody is working with his or her own computer or with others, and do hacks and then discuss things and running here and there. And this is this circle contains the fields of activities. We have, as we call it, a production-based research in focus, where we develop ideas to the first rapid prototype, as we call it. This is it's not there, so I will show. So the brainstorming day looks like this, usually ideas on the floor, and we discuss and use post-its and so on to form ideas. And then one other main pillar of the activity is education, also self-education, and giving workshops for others, for outsiders. Also sometimes it's a service for the telecom company. And this is also one important rule. When somebody enters Kivu as a researcher, we always ask you, what do you want to learn and what do you want to teach? And it's good if you can reply positively for both questions. And then we do studies too. We call it now video ethnographic research. This is an interesting method when we select a group of people, for example teenagers, and we work together with these guys, give cameras and to record some moments of their life, and then analyze the result and make a creative workshop on it. And for example, this is also a good common point, or a good base to cooperation with the telecom, because for example the last video ethnographic research, through this last research we got to an idea which is now developed to a product, and maybe will be also a product in Germany. So this is a very positive example how a small grassroots-like organization can work together with a big corporate company, which is not always easy, as you can And as I told, there is this smaller group called Widget Factory. They work on mobile applications, usually external commissions. But what is good, we are not restricted to work only for telecom. We can also have other clients, except of course the competitors of telecom, and this brings some income too. And then what I really like, it's present at the moment too, that we are invited to lots of events, festivals, exhibitions, and talks, and so on. So it's a very nice work or very nice part of this Kivu life. Yeah, it's almost all kind of activities are seen here. And yeah, the publicity, by the way, we have just published this book which contains Kivu's work for 4 years now, almost 4 years, very heavy. This is, I brought this to Transculture. Sorry, I brought only one for you because it's just too heavy. Yeah, so this is just a little bit of goods. I don't know.
Are you very sensitive on this publication aspect? You want to publish books or DVDs or regularly?
It's a good question because we have, I think, by now 4 books. We had the first after 6 months, and then I think 1 year and maybe 1.5 or 2 years, and then now. And also when we have open days, when public is invited and people can browse our projects and look around, we also usually also print out something, flyers, smaller things, but we never published any DVD and it was never in the focus. So I don't know, it was always book or book, flyers, or online things. Yeah, we were recently asked to send a copy to a publisher in Hungary, and this means that maybe we should be able to, for example, print more books, not only because we give away these books for free usually, but maybe it's if a wider public is interested in, then we should be able to print out another series and make it available for people, which is I think really good. But we never thought that somebody will approach us and say, yeah, we want this book. It would be good to put in our library and so on. Okay. And then, yeah, I will not talk about all these projects we've done so far, but I will talk about 4 projects that are related to urban topics. Okay, so In the Air was a project. Was a project by a Spanish architect called T.R.A.C.E.S, and she first made this project in Media Prado in Madrid in the framework of a workshop called T.R.A.C.E.S. Maybe you've heard about. It's a very progressive and interesting experiment for workshops. So it was, I think, in 2009, and then we invited her to Kivu for a short residency, like 2 weeks, to make a version for Budapest too. So In the Air is a project that deals with visualization of the air quality of a city. And it was first made for Madrid and then for Budapest. It contains a software or an application where you can browse, you can see how the different to make people interested in or conscious about the fact that we as individuals are always influencing the air quality. It's not something that is just by something a side effect that we can't do anything, but it's very important to recognize that it's also our we also influence it through our activities, through our way of living. So it was a it was a very successful project that is very often quoted in conferences and festivals and exhibitions. And so T.R.A.C.E.S came to do the workshop, and they did this visualization software for Budapest, and beside of these two small prototypes, which are more device-like. So one of they called it Jellyfish, and Jellyfish is a prototype of a future personal small compass that will help you to avoid polluted areas and to navigate towards healthier parts of the city. And it looks nice, of course. By now it doesn't work, but for the moment, I mean, by the time they really tried it, went out and tested. And then again, another resident project, a news leak. We had, that's what I forgot from the presentation. So we have a residency program, and usually we have like 4, 5 residents per year. It depends how long they stay. Sometimes we have more people simultaneously. And this time we had Tim Devine and Jane Cochrane from, one of them from Australia, Jim from Australia, and Jamie from Canada. So they both came from Linz, and they made a project called Newsleak, and it is a, as they call it, a hybrid media application, hybrid media application for the city. So they built basically a small prototype, which was a box that you see here, a pink box, and it was really easy. You should just push the button, and you get you got a mix of news, an instant selection of the daily news, and each person on each person passing by got another new selection. So the slides were always different, and that was a really interesting experiment to build it, to have them to build this project, and then to go out and experiment and test how people react. Would they go there or not, push the button or not? So that was one of the most interesting residency of Kivu. Because Hungarian people are not so open and kind of reluctant, so it's not easy to get them move and interact and try things. But it worked out very nicely. And the other interesting thing is that how you can, so the content is important, what you can collect, because the guys wanted to really use the community edited pages, and in Hungary you don't really have many of them. So finally they were forced to use also Google and Twitter, because, for example, the Hungarian Wikipedia, it's not edited in every 5 minutes as the English version. So the whole thing was really exciting. And then one recent project I was also participated, called Beat Your Mouse Movement, and this is dated last year. Like, I think we started approximately a year ago, when Patchbee, I don't know if you know this software or application, Patchbee by Usman Haq, and the X Clinic, the Environmental Health Clinic by Natalie Jeremienko from New York. So they launched the code together with the Zero One Festival from San Jose for an award that deals with the environmental issues, and also data and city and people. And our response for the call was a project, was a concept that offers a playful solution to balance the time we spend in front of the computer with measuring how much we walk. No, that doesn't make sense. So, so to compare the movement of a mouse with our actual physical movements. That was the idea. And so that was the first sketch with the mouse. We didn't use it later for the visuals, but so we won this award. So we got some money and we were invited to present the project in San Jose last autumn. And so we built the software, the Beat Your Mouse movement, the beatyourmouse.com, where you can make up an account and start to measure your actual footsteps and compare it to your mouse movement. And for this, you have a software that runs continuously on your desktop, and the other one, for the physical footsteps, you can buy a very cheap pedometer, for example, or even count it just by heart. Or you can also use our software that was also included in the project and downloaded to an iPhone, and then it measures. So it's a playful way, again, to make people conscious about this type of living, which is really actual and very relevant to our lives. And we don't say it's bad, because we are, more or less everybody's kind of geek at Kidu. So we enjoy this life, but we also have to be conscious about the disadvantages. And we had an installation, a very simple one. I hope you see it. So there was 3 mouses and 3 shoes, and the shoes and each pair was linked to one of us on site, and it showed our account on the Beat Your Mouse movement webpage along the 10 days we spent there. This guy called Laszlo Kish, so he was one of the creator of the project and the idea, the owner, the idea together with other. That's what I thought for now.
Thank you.
And if you have questions, please
There's a microphone here, so.
don't hesitate to ask.
Jody?
I'm just curious, I love the Beat Your Mouse movement. Is it active? Are people already downloading and doing it? So you can see a range of different kind of comparisons? Or?
Yeah. It was active by the time we were there, and also a bit of afterward. And then we faced kind of quite many bugs on the application, so we started to work on bugs to repair them. And then now we again want to revitalize the project and try to spread it in Hungary and collect community. But that was clearly our aim when we started the project and when we presented. But then when the exhibition was finished, that was again an interesting turning point. So it's not evident to make an artistic project and then continue it as a product or a service. But there is an aim.
And so could we invite all of the T.R.A.C.E.S participants and guests to become part of this? Fantastic. I think it would be a lovely way to incorporate this. Are there some other comments, questions?
I just would like to ask more about, because also at
Wait for the microphone.
I just wanted to ask about this ethnographic project, which is now kind of also a bit interested with some community in Vilnius who's doing also some like urban ethnographic, not so to say research, but just how to say the project of exploring the city in a conscious way. But I just wanted to ask more about the context of this photo ethnographic project. What are the main ideas behind it?
Okay, so the method we follow is almost always the same. So we have we give away cameras, a little package with a camera where you can take photos and videos. It's a very simple thing. I'm sure you know. If there's only one big red button, you have to push and it records. So each participant has gets a package, and then there are messages inside and the time when they should record and also the topic we are searching or we are researching. So this method we use in every case, and so we collect materials, and then a few weeks later there is a workshop when also the participants and also a few people from Kivu and other expertise come to analyze the results and watch all the videos and take notes and research ideas, comments, and so on. You can imagine. So it's kind of between analyzing and brainstorming, and then we publish a document with all the participants, I mean with their materials, and then also the ideas which were formed along the workshop. So that's the method. But the topic, the subject of the research is always different. For example, this year, as there is the Marshall McLuhan birthday year, we will do two research based on the same working methods. One with elderly people and another one for kids, and using the same technology. But the questions will be different, and also the subject of the research will be different and more related to McLuhan and to the media consumption and so on. It's an exciting way of researching. However, it's not new. I mean, it's not something we invented, but it's a good tool.
Maybe I have a more general question. You were talking about Hungarian openness or not to these new forms. Can you just summarize a little bit what is the scene in Hungary for digital arts, and is it only focused around kitchen, or I was in touch with C3 before. I think they have some financial problems now, I'm not sure. And they were quite active. So what's the situation now for the media arts in Hungary?
Yeah, you mentioned the other ruler.
C3, yeah.
So yeah.
Just two.
Yeah. No, actually there are more, but it's not really active. I mean, there was C3, which was, let's say, similar to Kivu at the very beginning. They got a big funding from the Soros Foundation, but as Soros left the country, they became how to say PC way. And then I think they were maybe not flexible enough to find another way of support, or actually I don't really know the story, but today they partners in organizing exhibitions like with bigger institutions, so they have a very nice and very large network in all over the world. So many places in the world know only C3. Yeah, but there are things going on. So I'm quite happy to see that the hackerspace was opened more than a year ago, and then other smaller groups are working on this space. And there's a gallery which is more open to art and technology exhibitions. And also there is two faculties. There is one in the Hungarian Fine Art University and the other one is Applied Art University. They recently opened a media design department and also creative technology lab. So I think it's now getting more and more active. Yeah, and also I hope that it's also our influence, positive influence.
Yes, and but we were talking about yesterday about the financial aspect, and you said that Kibuso is totally private resource for the finances. And is there some hope that the ministry or the public authorities has some openness, or is it you have to go to the private funding, or there is no other solution in your country for media, art, or for culture?
I think it was also, in a way, a conscious decision to go for private funding. But in the current political situation, I don't think we would be happy with the government. Maybe it's kind of strong to say this, but it was always fragile, and now it's even more. So one possibility. I mean, the widget factory team brings income. So they make about like 10–20% of the year's budget, which is, of course, we couldn't live from this money, but it's not nothing. And also, but at the same time, what we are doing is really research and not about making money. So to earn money, we should, I think, change Kibu. The majority of the project would change with this. If we lose the telecom support.
And do you have other European programs you're involved in?
Yes, several. One we mentioned yesterday on Lab2Lab, which is let's say consortium of 4 or 5 labs in Europe. Media Lab Prado, and then there is Constant in Brussels, and then Area 10 was from London, but they closed down and they don't have space, so basically 1–2 members just joined the meetings, and
so it's also a way of course, to co-finance your activities.
yeah, so this is an EU-funded, 2 years funded project by the Grundtvig support, and also we have other grants. Like we recently won a relatively large amount of money from the Visegrad Fund, which is for the Visegrad countries, the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Poland, and Hungary. That was a very good support for a conference and workshop we've done. And we are also part of other European funded projects as partners, as for example T.R.A.C.E.S. We have another one with T.R.A.C.E. and in Slovakia, and so on. And we are,
Okay, thank you. You had another question?
Oh no, it's just the Media for Science Festival.
Media for Science
Yeah.
Festival. So now we have two Mihat from Vienna. Thank you.